Hi, Nick Langel here, and today we're going to be discussing about Spartacus and another gladiator, Crixus. Let's begin. So, who is Spartacus? Well, he's not the guy that says, "This is Sparta!"
This is Sparta!
That's actually some other different guy. Spartacus was actually a Thracian who some say he fought for the Romans at one time, but then he later deserted the Roman army and actually led other raids against the Roman army. After deserting the Romans, he actually became a slave and fought as a gladiator in Capua. In 73 BC, Spartacus and a group of 70 other slaves escaped from Capua and started their own rebellion against the Romans. Before Spartacus and his group of escaped slaves could attack the Romans, first they had to do some training, which they performed on Mount Vesuvius. Pretty epic.
Maybe without the fire explosion in the background.
Spartacus wasn't the only leader in this war. Him and another fighter named Crixus, a Gaul, actually fought together side by side as both the leaders of the army against the Romans.
A little bit about Crixus is Crixus was just like Spartacus. He was a slave in the Roman cities and was forced to fight as a gladiator. When Spartacus rebelled, Crixus joined him, and together they rallied up against the Roman army.
Also, Crixus, in his native tongue, actually means one with curly hair, which I kind of find that funny. I don't know why. Rome was now facing two well-trained gladiators, Spartacus and Crixus, together. But Spartacus and Crixus weren't alone in this. They actually got 70,000 slaves to pick up arms against the Roman army. But Spartacus and Crixus never really did get along that well. Crixus was more of the type to be a little arrogant and more fearsome, while Spartacus wanted to have more freedom and get his people across the Alps to freedom. After fighting a few battles together, Crixus actually decided to split up from Spartacus, and he took with him 30,000 followers. Him and his 30,000 followers marched towards Rome and to take over the capital city and destroy Rome once and for all. And after 2 years of hard fighting, they lost. But it wasn't a complete loss for the slave army. They actually ended up weakening the Roman society as a whole. The reason it weakened the Roman Empire so much was because over half the population in Rome were slaves themselves. So not only did half their population perish, but the slaves themselves also destroyed many of the legions of Rome.
So once Spartacus died in battle, many of his faithful companions followed with him. They were outnumbered by the Romans, but weren't quickly defeated. They gave up quite the fight. After fighting was over, many of the slaves that were still alive were crucified along the roadside to show to other slaves what happens if they try to rebel.
So what Spartacus and Crixus did can relate to a system of authority because Rome was the one initially in charge, but Spartacus kind of showed him otherwise, and he attempted to defeat him, but he kind of failed. It was also like a domino theory effect because Spartacus was a slave, and because he was being treated unfairly and had to go through some cruel training as a gladiator, he started to rebel. And because of the effect of one man rebelling against the Roman Empire, it led to multiple different rebellions against the Roman Empire, which went on for years after Spartacus' death. I would say thanks to these two leaders because of the fall of the Roman Empire, but it didn't actually happen until 500 years after Spartacus' death. But because of Spartacus' bravery, it did lead other slaves to join his cause even after his death, and so on for all those years. Many of the rebellions did end up in failure, and many of the slaves did lose their lives, but it actually eventually did lead to the downfall of Rome. Also, thanks to Spartacus and Crixus, we now have TV shows like Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
And we can finally see how intense and gory these battles actually were at this time period. There you have it, the real story of Spartacus and Crixus. Hope you guys enjoyed. One last thing, I'd like to give a quick shout out to my friend Eric West.
Rome is cool.